judges in California on the Ninth Circuit Court of Schlemiels. In fact, they brought in the retired Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, extremely left-wing, retired from the Supreme Court. They shopped her into this court specifically to say that a voter-approved initiative in Arizona from 2004, which merely said that you needed to show a voter ID in order to become to register to vote, these two illegitimates, and I use that term specifically, these judges are illegitimate. Sandra Day O'Connor had absolutely no business sitting on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And this other whack job lawyer, whatever her name is, how in the world do you want to live in a country where there's no voter IDs? Is that what the men died for? How in the world could you liberals look at yourself in the mirror? I know most of you are drugged. I understand that. I know most liberals that I've ever met are either constantly on Prozac. Every last one of them knows that they're no good inside. They have no center. Guys like Larry David, that type of guy, they act like they're full of confidence, but inside they're hollow men. They're the empty men that T.S. Eliot wrote about, and yet they walk around like they have utter confidence. Inside they're nothing. Guess they know they're garbage. They know they're the filth from the gutter that their parents raised them in. They know that they hate the country, and they know there's something wrong with their hatred. I know them. I've met them. They stink. They run Hollywood. They run the whole media. They walk around with such pomposity. Then why are almost all of them on drugs of one kind or another? Why are they all in and out of rehab all the time if they're so confident? And yet these people are so powerful in this country that they can take an unknown senator from Nowhereville and turn him into the president. The other day, one of these characters had the nerve to say that he fears the Tea Party will get a charismatic leader and suddenly we'll have Hitler again. In other words, he's saying that any white male who loves this country is secretly a Nazi. He took the mask off the reality of these guys. In other words, all the men in World War II who died that we could all be free, they were really secretly Nazis to these people. These yellow-bellied, American-hating vermin, I hate their guts. You want to talk about anger? You want to talk about why I'm enraged? I know their mindset. I grew up with them. I ran from them like running from a plague. I ran as far away as I could get from these anti-American haters. I went very far. I lived in Hawaii. I lived in Fiji. I lived in Tonga. Then I settled in California. You can't get away from them. Wherever you go, there they are. And their candidates, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein. That's their candidates. Jerry Brown, that's their candidate. A wonderful prize. A wonderful prize for California. Jerry Brown. Just what the doctor ordered. Like we have no idea what he's going to give us. And are the Republicans any better, really? Whitman they bring up. She spends $120 million of her own money. And she's trailing a used broken tire with patches in it. A guy that anybody could have beaten who had any legitimate campaign that stood for something. What does Whitman stand for? Nothing but Whitman. That's why she's losing. Yes, she's not physically appealing. I admit the double chin doesn't help her. She's not a very appealing-looking person. And looks count in politics. But Jerry Brown isn't exactly a movie star. He's about as shocking as they come. It's early Halloween with the two of them, so you can't say it's due to looks. So how could a guy like Jerry Brown be beating Whitman when she spent $120 million in polls? Because she stands for nothing. That's the problem with the Republican Party today. They're all doing exactly what McCain did all over. Don't hear anything. Me no hear no evil. Me no see no evil. Me no smell no evil. Me no speak. Who the hell needs them? What are you going to vote for them for? To get the same thing with an R next to the name? No, a pox upon all their houses is what you're saying. All over again. But when you see a real candidate who stands for something, who stands for borders, language, and culture, who says that Obama's a criminal and he's surrounded by a gang, who speaks clearly, you go out in droves. The base is energized. They want America back. They want to wake up and they want to say, thank God. I don't fear for my children and my grandchildren. Thank God I don't fear that this guy could turn over the nuclear football to China. Do you really have the confidence that Obama cares about America's national security? Has he ever talked about America's national security? Has he ever talked about America's national honor? Has he ever talked about America as a nation? Answer, no, no, no. No. You haven't heard one word from him about our national security because he doesn't care about it. Nor does Boxer, nor do the Democrats. So I rest my case. Republicans are pouring millions into California to help Carly Fiorina to defeat Barbara Boxer. Now, why is Carly Fiorina, another Republican who stands for nothing, trailing amongst women by 17 points against this hack from Brooklyn, Barbara Boxer? Barbara Boxer. Barbara Boxer. If I had wanted to, I would have run against her. I could have beaten her because there's certain things about Boxer's background that they won't bring up. And her connections and the family, certain things, the profits that have been made since she's in office, what she had when she started, what she has now, what the husband does as a lawyer, what the son does as a lawyer, all upstanding, wonderful people. All of it, wonderful, upstanding family. But nobody will touch it. Why is that? Why is it no one will say one word about any of this? The answer is because they probably have something to hide. That's why I'm not too excited about any of the elections in California, other than voting against legalizing marijuana. I voted against legalizing marijuana. It's the most toxic drug in many ways and the most dangerous drug because it leads your child into thinking that it's benign. It's not benign. It's carcinogenic, and it leads them to cocaine. It leads them to very dangerous lifestyles, legal or illegal. Marijuana is a disaster. It's the equivalent of the opiates that were dumped on the Chinese by the British to enslave the Chinese. That's correct. It's equivalent to the opium dumped on the Chinese people to enslave the Chinese by the British, who, by the way, were only defeated after the Boxer Rebellion, when the martial artists got together to throw the British out. I'm giving you a loose thumbnail description of what had to happen in China for the Chinese people to be freed of the scourge of drugs that had been put onto the people's heads by the British. The wonderful Brits, banned in Britain. Banned in Britain. Great honorable nation. They did a great service to the Irish people. Tortured and killed the Irish for centuries. A fine, upstanding individual. Those individuals there. So I'm all over the map right now. I'm very emotional when I see that Harry Reid's stealing elections, when I see the Democrats are being punched in other states. No matter what you punch for Republican, you get a Democrat. In Houston, Texas, 4 illegal aliens registered to vote, and the FBI is nowhere to be seen. And then to top it all off, illegitimate judges are brought into the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. A pox upon them. A pox upon them. The next time I see one of them at a dinner, I'll spit in his face. I saw one once at a dinner walking around like Caesar himself. You don't know how arrogant these judges are. You haven't any idea how arrogant they are. Walking around actually he reminded me of Larry David's cousin. The same exact mentality. Bigger than God Almighty. I won't spit in his face. I'll just turn my back, frankly. He isn't even worth my spittle. But he stole the election just now. He just said to Arizona voters, you may have gone to the polls, you dumb idiots, but you're not as smart as me. Yeah, they just said, you know what? Your votes don't count. We're the gods of this country. You're nothing, you little peons. You mean nothing. Sure, maybe your brother Eddie died in World War II. Maybe your father lost a leg at Normandy, but that was so I could become a judge. Who the hell do you think you are? I'm bigger than all of you. I'm Larry David. I'm a judge now. I'm in the Supreme Court. I'm on the Ninth Circuit Court. Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell. Pardon the pantomime. That's how I get the pain out of my heart. Pardon me. You got to pardon me. The pain is getting greater by the day. This gang has stolen America. This gang is a gang of socialist Marxist criminals on the order of Fidel Castro. Do you know that Castro, now that he's sick, his brother Raul has sort of lightened the totalitarian grip on the people of Cuba, and he is permitting some of the government workers, 96% of the workers in Cuba worked for the Obama-like government for 40 years, but they're bankrupt, they're broke. They have broken cars from the 50s. So even Raul said, let's privatize a little, He's moving up suddenly. It's 1950 to him. He's going to move back to the 1950s in Poland. So he's going to let people, if they're a barber or become a privatized barber or whatever, and they're taxing them at 50% of their income. I said, my God, between federal and state taxes, it's about the same tax rate as in America. You don't realize you're already living in a socialist dictatorship. The only difference is that you think you're not because that you have a media lying to you. You step out of line, you'll find out what country you're living in. You step out of line and say a few too many things and see what country you're living in. And it can get a lot worse. And under Obama, I can guarantee you, unless they lose 50 seats next week, he is going to get worse than your worst nightmare. The man is a lifetime naked Marxist. I prove it in Trickle Up Poverty. There's a whole chapter showing him all the way back to childhood, who he was mentored by. You don't want to hear it. You just don't care. Many of you'll say, who cares, Marx schmucks? What do I care? What do I care? Well, it's true. Most of you don't care. Your indifference is why we have a president of this low caliber in the White House. All right, I've said all I'm going to say for right now. Let's go to New York City. Rena, you're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Hi, Dr. Savage. I just wanted to thank you for opening my eyes. I'm in my 30s, and I never really cared about politics before, and I just recently started listening to you, and since I've been listening, it's very scary living in this country today, but at least it's really nice to know that I could turn on the radio and have someone that I could listen to and somebody that could open my eyes and really show me what's going on in this country. It's such a sad state of affairs right now.
Well, it is very sad because we have a president who, as you well know, has been an imposter from day one, and most of America that has not been brainwashed in the colleges where they learned how to use drugs and how to have sex. Most Americans who have not had their brains washed but stayed in the work environment can see through this magician in the White House.
Yeah.
Rena, I'm going to send you a free copy of Trickle Up Poverty. I'm really exhausted from this. The 14 X-rays got to me. I'll be right back.